So good morning on this beautiful day. And thanks all for one moment. Calm myself. All right. Thank you all for coming. And thanks to all those who are here via Zoom. And welcome to Minister's Assistant Janis Hirohama from the Orange County Buddhist Church, who will be leading our service this morning, and Minister's Assistant Jim Pollard, who will lead our adult study. So a very rare occurrence is happening right now. Major holidays of Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and Buddhism are all happening simultaneously. Yesterday was the first night of the Jewish holiday called Passover, which commemorates Israelites' exodus out of Egypt and the end of their slavery under the Pharaoh. Family and friends get together to retell the story of the Exodus, enjoy a meal of traditional foods like matzah and chicken soup, and enjoy each other's company. Palm Sunday was last week, and the beginning of Holy Week for Christians. It celebrates the day Jesus rode into Jerusalem on his way to a Passover dinner, which turned out to be the Last Supper. Good Friday commemorates his crucifixion, and Easter, which is today, marks his resurrection. Again, family and friends get together to eat and celebrate together. The Muslim celebration of Ramadan is also occurring now. It began on April 2nd and will end on May 2nd. Muslims believe that their holy book, the Quran, was revealed to Prophet Muhammad by the angel Gabriel at this time of year. In celebration and commemoration of this, during the month of Ramadan, Muslims fast, pray, reflect, and join with their community. Of course, in Buddhism, at the same time of year, we celebrate Hanumanjari, which is a day to celebrate the birth of the Buddha. Also called the Flower Festival, we decorate the Hanamita with flowers, and next Sunday, we'll have our own festival where we'll celebrate together. What struck me about all of these holidays and observances is that no matter the spiritual belief, family and friends, our communities gather together to celebrate. Abbas Ahmad el-Yazidi, who is the spokesperson for the Muslim holy days in Germany, said that because we share so much in common in our celebrations, we should be reminded that we are all siblings in humanity and must work together for good. I second that. Please join me in that. We will now have sutra chanting, Jusege, which is on page 39 in your book, and it will be on the screen for those on Zoom and anybody who can see it. Sensei Janis will now give us our Dharma message.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Jim and I were reflecting that it's been just a little over 2 years since we were last here at Vista in person. And I can't tell you how wonderful it feels to see your faces in person and to be able to join together once again in person and on Zoom in Sangha. So thank you for welcoming us back. So today, I wanted to talk on the subject of where is my gratitude? So in Buddhism, we focus a lot on gratitude, and rightly so. That is particularly true in our Shin Buddhist tradition. Unlike some other traditions of Buddhism, our practice does not involve sitting for hours a day in meditation or in austere practices like circumambulating, walking around a statue of Amida Buddha for 90 days while reciting the Nembutsu. We don't do those kinds of things. Some say that rather our Jodo Shinshu practice is just gratitude. As Reverend Harada, now our BCA bishop, has said, the Shin Buddhist way of life is the life of unending gratitude. I'm not going to go into more detail here about why gratitude is important in Buddhism, because that's a whole other Dharma talk in itself. Instead, I'm going to be asking and hopefully answering this question: where is my gratitude? You see, I have a confession to make, which is I have a gratitude problem. Let me explain. I keep a daily journal in which I make my to-do list, plan my schedule, and jot down ideas and thoughts. I know how important gratitude is to living a Buddhist life. And so I read some articles about how to keep a gratitude journal, and I thought, this is something I need to try. In a gratitude journal, each day you write down one or more things that you feel grateful for. It's supposed to help you remember the good things that happen so that you can reflect on them and appreciate them. There's actually scientific research that shows the benefits of keeping a gratitude journal. In one study, people who kept daily gratitude journals for several weeks were compared to a similar group of people who did not write down what they were thankful for. The researchers found that the gratitude journalers ended up being 25% happier than those in the other group. That's a big difference. So I could stand to be 25% happier. So I resolved to add that gratitude piece to my daily journal. And I did it just like what you see on the screen. I am grateful for. My problem was that at the end of each day, I would dutifully write, I am grateful for. Then I would sit there and stare at the blank space while my mind furiously turned around trying to think of something that happened that day that I felt grateful for. It was almost always a struggle for me to come up with just one thing. So much so that it became a source of stress and anxiety for me, which definitely was not the purpose of keeping a gratitude journal. It was making me feel bad instead of good. I wondered, what's wrong with me? What kind of a person, and especially what kind of a Buddhist, am I if I can't come up with even one thing from the whole day that I'm grateful for? Am I just a hopelessly ungrateful person? Going through this experience of struggling to find what I'm grateful for led me to ask the question, where is my gratitude? If there was gratitude in my life, why couldn't I find it? Where was it? To be totally honest, one big reason that it was hard for me to find my gratitude is that positivity and gratitude don't come naturally to me. I don't think that our personalities are set in stone and can never change, but I do think that most people have a tendency or an inclination, a direction that they naturally tend to follow. I think that my inclination, my natural disposition, so to speak, is to see the negatives in life first rather than the positives. If some people are Eeyores and some people are Tiggers, I'm definitely an Eeyore. As you probably know, Eeyore and Tigger are characters in Winnie the Pooh books and cartoons. Tigger, the tiger, on the right, has the big smile on his face. He's outgoing, optimistic, and bursting with energy. When he has to leave, he says, well, I gotta go now. I got a lot of bouncing to do. Ooh. In contrast, Eeyore, the donkey, is gloomy, cynical, and pessimistic. And you can tell that from the way he looks. His slumped posture, his downcast eyes, his ears pointing down, and his general lack of energy. He looks at things in a glass half empty sort of way. If someone cheerfully wishes him good morning, Eeyore replies, well, I suppose it is for some. Or he says, if it is a good morning, which I doubt. Not only does Eeyore immediately see the downside of a situation, he's also a ruminator, meaning he spends a lot of time thinking about things, overthinking, in fact. Does that sound like anybody you know? It sounds like me to me. And in his thoughts, he is often reliving the past or worrying about the future. But it's not just that I am an Eeyore. Negativity is also an inborn human trait. Research has shown that we human beings have a built-in tendency to expect the worst, what is called a negativity bias. It's the way our brains are wired. Scientists think we evolved to have a negativity bias because it helped us survive. Think about our prehistoric ancestors, hunter-gatherers out on the savannas, who would have been surrounded by all sorts of potential dangers and threats, from the weather, from animals, from eating something harmful. If you're primed to expect the worst, you would constantly be on the alert, seeing possible threats to your life coming from anywhere at any time. Your body would be ready to react immediately without pondering at first. If you heard a rustling noise behind a bush, you would assume it's something dangerous and you would run for your life. If there was a monkey behind the bush, fine, maybe you didn't need to run. But if it was a lion looking for dinner, you assuming the worst could mean the difference between life and death for you. Today, most of us no longer live in a world where there's that kind of physical danger lurking around every corner. But in our prehistoric brains, they haven't caught up yet with our current reality. What this means is that in our daily lives, we still tend to look for the negatives first and to assume a negative interpretation of things. We also tend to remember negative events more easily than positive ones, to react more strongly to them, and to think about them more often. This picture shows the way the negativity bias works. There are 44 good things over there on the left. I counted them. But the person in the middle doesn't see them at all. Instead, that person is locked in on the one bad thing there on the right and asking, why is life so unfair? Say that you're at the grocery store and someone rudely bumps into you without apologizing. You might think about that incident all day. Why are people so mean? Why didn't I speak up and say something when it happened? You keep replaying it in your mind. You don't think about all the many good things that happened that day that were positive, like the person who let you go ahead of them in line, or finding your glasses that you lost, or getting a nice compliment from a friend. The problem with being in a negative state of mind is that it can make you more anxious, depressed, suspicious, and lonely. That makes life more difficult, and it certainly makes you more unpleasant to be around. Would you rather hang out with Tigger or Eeyore? Negativity is also a sticky state of mind, meaning that it attracts even more negative thoughts. When that is our default way of looking at the world, we're quicker to notice minuses rather than pluses. We pay more attention to bad news over good news, and we see life through a negative lens. But here's some good news. Neuroscientists who study the brain have found that we can actually rewire our brains to override that negativity bias. We can do that by focusing on positive experiences. Psychologist and Buddhist Rick Hansen says, our brain has a negativity bias, which makes it like Velcro for the bad and Teflon for the good. So we have to learn to take in the positive experiences, weaving them into the fabric of our brains. In other words, you need to train your brain to focus on the positive rather than automatically go negative. It's the same as training your body. You need to practice the action over and over until it becomes second nature to you. If you make a conscious effort to focus on the positive things in life and do it over and over again, eventually it should become automatic, a habit. Your brain will notice those positive things first and override that natural tendency to look for the negatives. Gratitude is a crucial part of that process of focusing on positive experiences to rewire our brains. But especially if you're not a naturally positive person, if you're an Eeyore who tends to focus on the negatives in life, being grateful takes some work. It requires deliberate practice. That's what I was trying to do with my gratitude journaling, to make a conscious effort to focus on the positive. But besides my being an Eeyore and a not very evolved human, why else was it such a struggle for me? I think part of the problem is that when I sat there at the end of the day, trying to think of something to feel grateful for, my mind automatically looked for major things, what we might call big wins. I'm not talking about huge things like winning the lottery or graduating from college, or getting your dream job. The big wins I was looking for were things that stood out in my mind, like I'm grateful we got to take that boat trip to the Channel Islands with my friends from out of town. Or I'm grateful I won a Starbucks gift card in the drawing at the OCBC board meeting. Or, something along those lines. They're not huge, but, they're kind of stand out. They're not the usual thing. These aren't big, but they're not the kind of thing that happens every day. They're things that are out of the ordinary, so I consider them big moments or big wins. These are things to be grateful for, certainly. But life isn't made up just out of big wins and significant moments. They may be the most memorable events or experiences, the things that stick out most in our minds. But if you think about it, our lives are actually made up of many small things, many small moments. The truth is that so much of what we have to be grateful for is to be found in those many small things. But because they're small, and because there's so many of them in the course of a day, noticing them requires paying attention, something that isn't so easy to do, especially when we're focusing on the big things that seem more important. So I recently read this book, Little Pieces of Hope, Happy Making Things in a Difficult World by Todd Dowdy. Basically, it's a collection of lists of random things that make the author happy. He started making these lists during the COVID pandemic, when so many of us were struggling with bad news, isolation, and losses of various kinds. So these are some of the things on his list in the book. A really good burger, long walks, newly sharpened pencils, marching bands performing pop songs, Whitney Houston's live version of the Star-Spangled Banner, someone who keeps you company in the kitchen when you cook, people he calls national treasures, like Billie Jean King, national treasure, Denzel Washington, national treasure, Lin-Manuel Miranda, national treasure. You can see from this list that Todd Dowdy is finding all sorts of little things that make him happy: food, music, people, works of art. But he's also naming things that aren't so tangible: experiences, sensations, and feelings. And most of the items on his list don't cost any money. The whole idea behind the book is that it's these little things that can be so easily overlooked that add great delight and pleasure and happiness to life. Each moment can be full of wonder if we have the eyes to see it. These are not big things, but when you think about it, our lives are actually made up of many little things strung together, many little moments. The little things add up. The quality of our lives is determined by the small acts and moments that are easy to miss if we're not paying attention. Reading Little Pieces of Hope helped me realize that I might be able to find my missing gratitude in the small moments and the small things in life. It wasn't that my sense of gratitude was missing in action. It was that I wasn't looking in the right places. It was that I was so busy rushing through my life, and my mind was so tied up in feeling regret about the past and anxiety about the future, that I was not paying attention to everything that was happening right now. I needed to live completely in the present moment in order to notice those small things. When I read the list in Little Pieces of Hope with all these examples of what made the author happy, they seemed to give my brain a nudge in the right direction. While the things on the author's list have special meanings for him that make him happy, they happen to make me think of similar things that make me happy. His saying that Whitney Houston's live version of the Star-Spangled Banner made him happy reminded me that thinking about Prince performing Purple Rain at the Super Bowl in 2007 makes me happy. After reading the book, I didn't sit down and give myself the job of coming up with my own list. But Todd Dowdy's happy lists were so fun and uplifting But I found myself doing it naturally. I didn't assign myself to do it, but I started noticing these small things. They were so fun and uplifting that I found myself doing it in an effortless and almost magical sort of way. Without even trying, I was finding more small, happy-making things when I was just going about living my ordinary life. I started noticing all sorts of little things that gave me pleasure, that made me smile, that touched my emotions. I stopped struggling to come up with I am grateful for things to write down because I decided to give up the daily gratitude entry in my journal. I realized that you can't force yourself to be grateful. Instead, I started keeping a running list on my phone to write down things that make me happy as they occur to me. So in the course of my daily life, if I see something that makes me happy or something that makes me pause and smile, then I will put it down in my phone on my notes app. So these are just a few of the things from my list on my phone. The feel of a cool pillow against my face. Singing along to the B-52 song Love Shack. Pikachu. I love Pokemon. Drawing a perfectly straight line with a ruler. Tuning my ukulele to My Dog Has Fleas. Perfectly fried, crisp and light tempura. All things that make me happy and that I'm grateful for. When I gave up looking for big stuff to be grateful for and started paying attention to the small stuff, I found that I was connecting to an endless supply of happy-making, gratitude-creating things. And almost without noticing it, I started naturally cultivating gratitude and making it a practice, a part of my life. And I'm telling you this as somebody who's been a minister's assistant for a number of years. I know all about Buddhism and gratitude. And yet, there was a struggle for me. Gratitude was not a part of my everyday practice. And it took this book and this process of reflecting on it that I actually started incorporating it into my life. So just because I'm standing up here wearing a robe doesn't make me, somebody who is any better at feeling gratitude than anybody else. So even if gratitude doesn't come naturally to us, we can choose it by cultivating a practice of gratitude. How do we do that? When we make an effort to notice things to be grateful for, and then pay attention to them, and then keep doing that throughout our daily lives. If we work at it, over time, gratitude will become a habit, our natural way of thinking. And as the research tells us, that can rewire our brains to override negativity. In his book, No Death, No Fear, the great Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, "The way to full presence in the unrepeatable moment is awareness of the preciousness of our life and awareness of all that has been given to us. It is this realization of all that is present in this moment that we are transformed by profound gratitude." As Thich Nhat Hanh points out, living in the moment makes us aware of all that has been given to us, and we can do nothing but feel the utmost gratitude. In our tradition, we would express that by saying, Namo Amida Butsu. So even if, like me, you're an Eeyore, through practice you can remember to pause, take in the present moment, and notice the many small as well as large things that you can feel grateful for. The more that gratitude becomes our way of thinking and being, the more we appreciate how we are nurtured and supported by all things, by the infinite wisdom and compassion of Amida that surrounds us at all times. So where is my gratitude? Where can I find it? It is all around me. If I just open my eyes and my heart to see it, to feel it, and to appreciate it. I'd like to close with this wasan from Shinran Shonin, the founder of our tradition. because I think to me it expresses the fact that we are supported and held by Amita's wisdom and compassion in everything that we do, even if we don't notice that around us. And even if we aren't grateful for it in every moment, we have the reason for gratitude surrounding us at all times. So please join me. My eyes being hindered by blind passions, I cannot perceive the light that grasps me. Yet the great compassion, without tiring, illumines me always. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Your message made me very happy. I also want to say I have an adjustable bed for which I am very grateful. So our reading today is on page 13, number 3. Yes. Also on the screen, I believe. Please join me in reading. Happiness follows sorrow. Sorrow follows happiness. But when one no longer discriminates between happiness and sorrow, a good deed and a bad deed, one is able to realize freedom. So I think we're going to have an announcement.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's wonderful to see all of you, and also to our Dharma friends on Zoom. Thank you for joining. And I didn't want to inundate Dee Dee with a lot of announcements for this morning, so I just like to share with you. First today, for today's discussion, I hope you all stay for it following the service. To our friends on Zoom, our Sangha on Zoom, today, please stay on. We worked out some of the technical issues of it. We hope you participate. And if you'd like to share for our Zoom friends, if you'd like to share any comments, or if you would like to have any questions during the discussion, please put them in the chat. And then it will be facilitated here in the Hondo. Okay. Next Sunday is our Birth of the Buddha celebration event. So thank you to all of you who have already put in your RSVP. And for those who have not RSVP'd yet, please contact the temple, contact myself, or either via email or telephone. We would really like to get a head count, a number by tomorrow so we can plan for the Sunday event. It's from 2 to 4 p.m. It's going to be an experiential event with, we're going to do some walking meditation for those of you who would like to make your own nenju. Okay. We're going to have nenju making, and our taiko group is going to share what Buddhist taiko is all about. For the members of our taiko group, it's a practice for us. And so, again, please RSVP. Any of you here today, if you have not RSVP'd yet and would like to attend, please let Ford know. Okay? is next Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. We are still following our safety protocols. And we just ask that most of the events will be held outside, but when you are indoors here in the Hondo, we ask you to wear a mask and that all are fully vaccinated. Okay? And if you have any questions, feel free to contact the temple. So as we, it's hard to believe we're already coming towards the end of April, but we're continuing our Hanamatsuri season here at the temple. Okay? Thank you.
So this concludes our morning service. Please join me in Darshan. Namo Amitabha. Namo Amitabha. Namo. Sensei Jim will now lead our adult study. Thank you.